Good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon, which means Thursday night football. And tonight, it is the Vikings and the Chargers. And Matthew, you and I spoke about this. This feels like the Chargers need this. I'm sure Minnesota wants it, but I definitely think that this one is very pivotal for the Chargers, even at this point in the season.
Yeah, you look at their schedule. They started 3-0. Now they're 4-3. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. And you look down the list, and with the exception of the Colts, they've just been. I struggle because the NFL, so the margins are always tighter in terms of your talent and stuff like that. But it feels like they've been playing down to their competition. You know, they beat they beat the Dolphins by 2. They Who else did they lose to? They lost to the Giants and they lost to the Commanders and they lost to the Colts. Like those are the 3 teams, but still the Giants and the Commanders are games that you need to win. In terms of the way that LA's built that roster and the way that they started off their season, those are games that you've got to win. I will say for as much as I talked about it week 1, when they were playing against Kansas City, I said this Chargers offense is going to take them as far as Justin Herbert's right arm. Like, let him throw the football, and he'll lead you to wins. Right now, Justin Herbert's right arm is not leading them to wins; it's leading to mistakes. He's thrown a lot of picks in the last 4 games, and that's really been like you go back to that Washington game. That's a game where the Chargers, you watch them just play by play. You take out the explosives, Chargers win that football game, but you can't take those out. He did throw those picks, and so. They've lost games that they should have won because they're turning the football over. Don't let that happen again. This is not a great Vikings team. They're coming to LA, and I know that you don't really have a home field advantage, but they're still coming. They have to travel across the country to come to you. Don't lose this game. Not on a Thursday night, not on a short week. You've got it set up for you. If you want your season to go well, you need to win this football game.
Right. And look, I really think that that the gym has done a good job there, and I think it's really going to boil down to just what can they get, how can they make it work, and I do believe they can make it work. So this is a key one, but got to think that they can make it and they can get past Minnesota. If they can't, then they're in deep trouble.
But when I watch the team, I think about now you're getting into the point of the season where you start thinking about trade deadline and like where these teams are kind of sitting,
right,
in terms of their playoff picture. And when I watch the Chargers, like I can't really tell what they need.
Right, that's fair.
It doesn't feel like there's just like one thing that you watch them and you're like that. Like if you address that at the trade deadline, you're going.
Yeah.
I don't know what offensive line, but you're not going to go pick up some kind of a really good tackle at the deadline. Like that's not going to happen. You're not going to replace Rashawn Slater at the deadline. That's maybe running back. They've suffered some injuries in the backfield. Receiver depth potentially. I really don't know. Like there's some teams where it feels like you can kind of like pinpoint. Like for the Giants, if they really want to like try to improve and try to capitalize on the momentum that they've built so far, they need a receiver. The Dallas Cowboys, their offense is electric. They need to help them out on that defense with the draft capital they've got. Like there are places in these teams where you can point to and you're like, yes, this is what they need. And I don't feel like I can do that with the Chargers.
No, and the opportunity to get the person you need, just like you said, is going to be trouble because at the end of the day, like it, don't like it, whatever. It is a situation where the guys that's going to be available at the deadline, right? You got 2 camps: guys that nobody else wants, guys that they think they can get some trade value out of because they're probably going to be free agent, or let the drum roll here, big contracts that people want to get rid of.
Yep.
So, pick your poison here, folks. And do you really want to, stoke your future or stake your future on a situation where you do not know what the hell's going on here?
Yeah. But I think for as much as that feels like a bad thing when I
Mm-hmm.
watch the Chargers, I think it's also on the back end kind of a testament to the job that Jim Harbaugh's done. Like they feel like a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sum does feel greater than the parts when you look at that roster in
Right.
total. So I think that's a plus, but at the same time, the sum was greater than the parts for 3 games, and now you've gone on a pretty rough 4-game skid in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
way you're playing. And again, a lot of it does have to do with turnovers, but they need this one to get back on track because this is a Minnesota team that really they still don't have an offensive identity. If we're being honest, they've rotated quarterbacks. Their offensive identity is right now whoever trots out there and gets under center, just find a way to get it to 18. That's pretty much their offensive identity. So you got that, and Justin Herbert, for all of his turnover woes, this isn't exactly the defense that you want to go get right against. And Brian Flores, and
Right.
God knows he loves him a good exotic pressure and blitz. So it's not. I don't think it's going to be easy sledding for the Chargers tonight by any means.
No.
Based on the
No.
way they played.
And to your point about the guys that with the with Minnesota, they're in somewhat of the similar situation. But as you said, who's going to be able to go out there? Their offense has just been pitiful. And
Well, I I
yeah,
think Minnesota's situation is simple as they're Cincinnati with a defense.
probably true.
They got all the weapons same way Cincinnati does, but right now they don't have somebody consistently pulling the trigger.
Yeah, say what you will. Joe Flacco has done what they've asked him to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what changed. Like Cincinnati found somebody now that's going to be their quarterback for the rest of the season. That's good. But the way Minnesota is right now is you've got Carson Wentz that's played the last few weeks. You got JJ McCarthy that's getting close to coming back to injury. It's in terms of their quarterback situation, it's a little bit similar to what they got going on in San Francisco. It just hasn't been as successful.
Right. Let me ask you this. I like to use the term game manager. Some people think that's a show of disrespect. One of the reasons I think the success rate is there um, you know, for Cincinnati is because Joe Flacco knows how to manage a game.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. This guy's no game manager. I get it. Like people in media have turned it into a term that is
Mm-hmm.
seemingly a derogatory term. But when you think about a game manager, what does the guy do? He knows how to play football. Like he knows how to play situational football. He can understand what he's looking at in terms of a defense, get you into the right look, and make the right play. Maybe he's not going to roll out and throw a ball sidearm 50 yards downfield. Who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Not many can. So game manager who if you manage the game successfully, it's fine. like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not like game managers can't go win football games. I think Tom Brady was probably a game manager throughout his entire career. And 7 Super Bowls later, I'd say he managed them pretty daggum well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. The thing too, and this is something that your point about Brady. Brady himself called it that's he said he was a game manager. That was his job.
Mm-hmm.
And what Flacco knows, and what good quarterbacks, and certainly um, Brady was in this category. He knew when to get rid of the ball and just throw it into the stands. Right? It's like
Yeah.
hit the hot dog vendor, don't take the sack. And those are does he still has an arm, he can still throw the short and the long
Mm-hmm.
ball. He's got Jamar Chase, and we saw what would he had 15 or 16 times he was caught. I don't know how many God knows how many targets he was thrown at. But Joe is not going to hurt you.
No.
Can Joe come take you down in 2 minutes and get you a win? Maybe. But at the end of the day, you'll win more games with Joe than you'll lose with him.
Yeah. The term game manager. When I think about a game manager, if you're actually a game manager, like if you're actually a game manager quarterback and not somebody who's not a good quarterback, they've just given you that label because you aren't a good quarterback. Like, it means you understand what you're looking at in the defense. You know where the football needs to go, typically pre-snap. Like, you understand man versus, like, you can perfectly identify the man versus zone no matter what looks they're throwing at you.
Right.
And you know where your hole is going to be in that zone or in that man. You know what route you're looking at. You get your team into the right look pretty much every time, consistently at least. Just because, they're throwing outs that are holes in zones instead of trying to, like rip a 25-yard seam route and thread a needle between a hook and a high safety. Doesn't mean that they're not a good player.
No, and the other part of the equation, which I think is just as important as what you're just saying, is that at the end of the day, these guys are good for the key reasons that they're good for is they are going to keep you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to get you're going to get people who know there's not a defense that Joe Flacco hasn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're 6'6" and you understand, okay, I know where my playmakers are, and I can check down, I can get rid of this thing. I see what Brian, whoever he's coming up against, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not a defense he hasn't seen. That doesn't mean that you're going to succeed on every play. It just means that you'll have maybe a second or two more to survey things because again, you know what you're throwing against.
Mm-hmm.
And these other guys who may be flashier than Joe, in the backup category, they don't have that luxury. They haven't been in the league as long as he has, and haven't seen every damn possible defense you can throw.
Mm-hmm. And I think like if I was getting a quarterback, I'll take a game manager because another piece of their game is like for all of the understanding what play you're in and what defense they know where the rush is coming from. Like they set your protections correctly.
Mm-hmm.
98% of the time, you're going to get your protection set correctly when you have a guy that's done it for as long as he's done it under center. Like right now, I would not give Justin Herbert the label of a game manager. He is a gunslinger. He likes slinging it around most of the time. So, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but also when over these last 4, I think he's averaging at least one interception a game. He's got a couple with multiple, and that's a problem. Like that's where you would rather him kind of change that mindset when those start happening, because it feels like he's almost gotten in a mindset because he didn't really throw him in those first 3 games.
Nope.
He didn't really throw him, but let's see here. Against the Giants, I'm pretty sure he threw 2. He did. Commanders, I think he threw 2 again.
Yes.
Let's see. No, he just threw 1.
Just 1? Okay.
Commanders, I'm almost okay. That was the game I just looked at. Never mind. Let's see here. He didn't throw one against the Dolphins. They won by 2. And against the Colts, he threw another 2. So he's thrown 5 picks across 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a winning formula out of your quarterback ever.
No.
It's just not.
It's just it's self-inflicted wounds, and very few teams can do that. Can survive self-inflicted wounds. The gunslinger category. That was what they used to say about about Brett and guys like that. And Okay, I get it, but you know, that's not necessarily. You have to know the talent you have on your team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the talent that Joe has on his team is superior in my mind to some of those Green Bay teams that Brett Favre just basically showed up and yeah, he'd throw an interception and then the next time he had great amnesia because the moment he threw it, he forgot that he threw it. So, he came back on the field, he'd throw the same damn ball the next time, and that time maybe the guy catches it.
Yeah.
So I get it. But he didn't manage the games well, and I'm talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback here. Um, but I'm saying that managing means you know what the clock is. You know what every possible scenario is in your head. Why? Because you've done it. And that's why I think game managers are important,
Mm-hmm.
especially for teams that, like, hell, Trent Dilfer and, what's Johnson? What was the kid's name? Johnson, Florida State player who played Brad Johnson for Tampa Bay. They won Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're not going to say if you had a fantasy football team, you'd look up and go, really, no, I don't think I want that guy.
Yeah.
Uh, but the guy got, they both teams had tremendous defenses, so he didn't have to do that much.
Yeah. Like you think about college, like I go back to the really the heyday of Alabama football, like when they
Mhm.
were in it every single year. You think about Greg McElroy was quarterback. Like he's not a guy that was a game changer by any measure, with all due respect.
Mhm.
AJ McCarron, not really a game changer, more of a game manager, with all due
Mhm.
respect again. Um, and those guys have really good defenses, really good run games, and when in doubt, they had a fantastic group of receivers. Each of them had their star in Julio and Amari Cooper,
Mhm.
but like these were guys that all they had to do was manage the game. Like sometimes the talent around you is good enough. Like in Cincinnati, in terms of your offensive weapons, the talent around you is plenty good enough. Don't get me wrong. Like so, I will say I'm not sure if Justin Herbert's afforded that luxury in LA right now in terms of the team he has. I don't
Right.
think the talent around him is good enough to where he can just go out there and execute and they'll walk away winners. Like I think he does have to make some plays.
Well, I agree. I think that definitely is something that you're going to have to deal with. But at the end of the day, I do think that the game management situation is, as you say when we started this, that the game management part of it is a media driven thing that says, "Oh no, you don't want to be a game manager. You want to be, my star quarterback."
Yep. Yeah, and it's
And
very much a lie.
as you said, you don't get much better than you don't get much better than having a guy like a uh, Tom Brady as your game managing quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. Just because you're a game manager doesn't mean that you suck or necessarily that you're slow and you can't roll out of the pocket.
Right.
You've got some kind of like a below average arm. Like you go back and you watch some of these guys we're talking about. These guys, they have cannons
Hmm.
attached to their right shoulder. They just don't have to like they don't have to show you that every single time they drop back to throw the football.
Right.
Like I think about a guy. There's two guys that come to mind in terms of like just pure athletic freaks, whether that be arm and legs or just arm for one of them.
Hmm.
Anthony Richardson and Joe Milton, like athletically freaks. Anthony Richardson, in terms of everything that he could do, athletic freak. But guess what? He can't play the quarterback position. He wasn't able to play the quarterback position at Florida, and he couldn't play it in Indianapolis either. The same goes with Joe Milton. Joe Milton started at Michigan. They're like, man, this guy's the truth. Like, look at how far he can throw it. It
Hmm.
feels like every offseason for the entire time Joe Milton was in college, we were just waiting on Joe Milton to do what everybody said Joe Milton was going to do. And it was never going to come because guess what? he couldn't play the game of football. Like he couldn't manage the game well.
Right.
He couldn't manage his arm correctly. So I think in the weirdest way possible, athleticism at the quarterback position can sometimes be overrated.
Yeah, and as someone who followed Anthony Richardson's career, I gotta say, to be honest, I never thought he was a good quarterback.
I really didn't either. I hated when he got taken in the first round by the Colts. I hated it then. I hated when he got thrown onto every watch list known to man after starting a couple of games at Florida. I think it was his freshman season. Like I get it. I get it. He's going to make some good plays. Like those guys they're going to make some plays that make you go, wow. But then when you look at the stat sheet and see that he's barely completed 50% of his passes, you're like, were the wows worth it?
Well, the answer is no.
Never. They're never worth it. The wows are never worth it.
Yeah. The thing that I thought that really just I almost wanted to just smack somebody upside the head is he got to that position, right, of star quarterback. I don't know how. All right. Well, we'll just go there.
Hype alone.
I'm sorry?
I said it was by media hype alone.
Yeah. So he gets to the combine. No one mentions his arm. The only thing they say is he has a 45 or 46 inch vertical jump. And I'm thinking, how often, if I want a soft, a number 3 forward, right? Your normal small forward who is, the guy who can cut and jump and do all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
In basketball. Okay, fine. Anthony Richardson is my third, is my off wing forward. But how does a 46 inch vertical leap help you if you're a quarterback?
Hey, he can hurdle a guy.
Yeah, well, great.
Yeah. But I mean, hurdle a guy, maybe run the jump pass a little more effectively than somebody
else. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like that's pretty much it. Like it's not gonna.
That answers the questions, right?
It doesn't do you anything. I guess it showcased the power he has in his legs, but you already know how far he can throw the football. Like that doesn't change anything.
No. Accuracy. That was a big thing with Florida. You could have 5 guys out there with nobody on them, and he couldn't hit them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes he like that. When I was talking about Joe Milton, that same thing. Like, yeah, they have all the arm strength in the world, but the problem is that they feel like they have to do it every single time. Like they're trying to throw it through their receiver or through the uprights every time.
And you're sitting there going, "Look, guys, dude, you don't have to do that. You really don't.
You don't.
It's crazy. You just don't get yourself into trouble, and you'll be fine."
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's kind of like what we talked about yesterday with DJ Uiagalelei. Athletically, I don't think anybody argue that he wasn't, athletically that he wasn't a talented guy. But one thing I will say about Anthony Richardson, and this is once again going to sound like a knock, and it's probably it's very because it is, and that is he really didn't care about his progressions. All he was concerned about was if the first progression wasn't there, he was booking. He was not staying around. And so if your number 1 guy's not open, I'm out of here. Okay. Not necessarily what we need or want, but I guess. Okay. So again, as you say, media hype, whatever. I never saw it with Anthony, and that is no disrespect meant to Anthony. It's just that I never saw it.
Yeah, and like there is because I can tell you I've watched it this season. At least I think I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I could also there's a chance that I'm seeing this incorrectly, but like the expectation with those guys was always the assumption that, like, yeah, they've been one read and go guys, but they're going to get better. They're going to get more comfortable, and they're going to go through their progressions. And that doesn't always happen. Like at Georgia this season, early in the season, Gunnar Stockton was one and go. He was not comfortable. He was a one read and go guy. You go back and you watch that Ole Miss game from last weekend, and he works through his progressions a lot of the times before he takes off and goes. So, like, it can happen just because guys are one read and go, in college doesn't mean that they can't evolve, and just because they're one read and go guys in college doesn't mean they can't evolve while they're in college.
Right.
Like, but that's the hope, is that once you find these guys and you get them comfortable in what they're doing, that they'll evolve the way they play the position. It's great to be athletically gifted. That will always it's a better starting point. But if you're athletically gifted and you still refuse to learn the position, then it doesn't matter just how good your legs or your arm are.
No, 100%. I mean, it's a situation where you're dealing with, okay, you're talented, yeah, good for you, but how are you gonna help me? Yeah, I think that's the problem that we're seeing right now, is they don't have that answer.
Yeah,
especially with those guys. So, any thoughts about who wins tonight?
I'm gonna say LA and just kind of hope for them. Like this is a game that they absolutely should win. They're 3.5 point favorites, which feels a little slim, but it's definitely something. It's where you'd expect it to be based on the way they've played over these last four, because they haven't played well. So if Justin Herbert turns the football over 3 times, like I know that Brian Flores defense can make him do, then yeah, the Vikings are probably going to win this football game. Like, I think the Chargers are in a position where they can afford to lose the turnover battle.
Yeah.
Lose the turnover battle. I'm not saying get blown out in the turnover battle. I'm saying if you have one less, you're still probably going to be in a pretty good position to win the football game. But when you get into that 2 and 3 range, now you're starting to talk about how many, like, you're losing a significant amount of possessions here and potentially putting them in plus places for their offense, which doesn't, like, it needs the help. And if you turn the football over, you're giving Minnesota the help it needs in order to win this game.
Right. And that's kind of what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, really, this is what I do not want to do. Help them beat me. But we'll see. I'm with you on the Chargers. I just think that Jim's gonna have his team ready tonight and go, okay, hit the reset button, boys. We need to get this game. We need to get it tonight.
Yeah.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly that at the end of the day, they're gonna be ahead in the scoreboard and move on. With regards to our buddies in the Great North, with Minnesota, I have no idea what's going to happen to them.
No, I don't.
That's a future that is out beyond my pay grade at this point.
Have they announced who's starting tonight at quarterback for them? Is it going to be Darnold? Is it going to be Wentz? I don't know.
Darnold is not even with them anymore.
Or not Darnold, Wentz and McCarthy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's not going to be McCarthy.
It's not. I know he'd been practicing.
Yeah. My understanding is that it's a game time decision for him, and Carson Wentz got beat up a little bit. So I would say probably Carson Wentz, but it's really, if you're wagering on this game and you're listening, don't listen to me. Okay, check 90 minutes before the game, because that's physically when the NFL has to turn over the roster, and if he's activated at that point and he's ready to go, well, then we'll see. But right now, we got some situations where we got to think about it, because right now there's nothing 100% concrete about this. So we'll have to see how it plays out. So, all right, let's tomorrow, World Series. Gonna be fun. There's star power. There's there's more than a few storylines. That's for darn sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this game one feels very much it earns the storyline, immovable object versus unstoppable force.
Right.
Like this Blue Jays offense has been humming, and for all of this Blue Jays offense has been humming, Blake Snell hadn't given up a thing in the
Right.
postseason, like nothing. He's been pretty close to perfect in terms of his starts in the postseason thus far. So it Toronto's facing an uphill battle, especially when you look at the fact and you look at the matchup and under Toronto in terms of their starting pitcher, it says undecided. Like that's not great for them. You would think it would be Gosman just because they've had like a week, but there's nothing listed right now in terms of a starting pitcher for Toronto. So I would definitely lean in favor of the Dodgers.
Yeah, Gosman threw an inning the other night. In that win for the Blue Jays, and so theoretically he could pitch tomorrow. Um, I don't know. I guess what they're going to do is they got to LA today, and so he'll probably throw, and if he feels good, he'll probably do it. But I don't know whether or not he's going to make it or not. And Blake Snell,
it very much.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Could be.
Sorry.
I was going to say it very much could be like they all get out there. All right, who feels the best?
Right.
That's who's pitching tomorrow.
Well, I think if I'm not mistaken, the deal with regard to Gosman is that he is probably going to do it because he has thrown. He threw one inning, but the inning, from what I understand, was his warm-up day.
Mm-hmm.
So if that was the case, normally, if you watch pitchers on their off day, they pitch hard for one inning.
Yeah.
So, in essence, yeah, the difference is, on your off day, you're throwing hard for one inning, but the one inning is against no hitter. In the case of Gosman, he actually came in and threw one inning, and he had hitting. So they may feel he might be their best opener. And I don't mean opener for a bullpen game. I mean your best starting World Series opener. They're playing at home, which is helpful. But Blake Snell might be pitching the best ball he's ever pitched.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 3-0 in the postseason with a .86 ERA. Like,
come on, man, that's not even fair.
Yeah, .52 WHIP. He's thrown 21 innings in the postseason as well. So It's not like his workload's been small.
No. I mean, this is very unlike what we normally see from this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, his worst start was against Cincinnati, where he went 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts.
Give me a break. I mean, man, that is absolutely crazy.
The weirdest part was, like, each start he's had this postseason has just gotten a little bit better.
Uh-huh.
Like, the next one after that was 6 innings, 1 hit, 4 walks, and 9 Ks. No runs allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't have those walks, and those innings were too far down. So he followed it up with 8 innings, 1 hit, no walks, 10 Ks. Like,
wow,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The game against Cincinnati, which was his worst game, is a fantastically pitched game. Like, it's really good. Yeah, it's top of the line. And then he was like, not good enough. Let me go top this twice. I'm going to top it, and then I'm going to top the one that I topped it with.
Right.
So, biggest stage in the world. Didn't bother him last time he was there. I doubt it'll bother him this time.
No. And there's, when you've got when you've got guys like Otani and you know the the pitchers that they have who can sit down with them. I mean, he knows, what? If I don't get it tomorrow, our guy will get it. Which is not to say that's what he wants to have happen, but it is an opportunity for him to look up and say, I'm the number one guy tonight, but that doesn't mean that if I lose, we're basically out of the World Series.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the one thing that gives me hope in terms of this entire series for the Blue Jays is the fact that they can lose this. Like, they can lose this game. They pulled themselves off the mat time and time again in that Seattle series. And to be honest with you, I think I put a lot more stock into that divisional series and the way they won that than I think a lot of people do. Like that Yankees team wasn't bad. Was it flawed? Yeah, the Yankees team had some flaws to it. But still, the way they lost that first game of the Bronx, and they could have very easily lost that second game, let it go back to Toronto, and now you're facing some real pressure. They didn't. They won that second game in the Bronx. They won that second game in the Bronx convincingly when they were throwing a bullpen game and the Yankees were throwing Schlittler. So, just they've been put in a bunch of disadvantageous spots in terms of pitching this postseason, and it just hasn't mattered because they've just out-hit everybody. So they're going to have to do it again in LA, and this is a lineup that's tough to out-hit. And especially with their pitching, like this, it feels like the lineup that can match the Blue Jays in terms of offensive output. But they better match the offense because your pitching is going to be good. But I guarantee you, the Blue Jays are going to get to them in some way, shape, or form. Whether that be chasing him a little bit early or actually getting to him and scoring some runs.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say that they're not going to do that. I mean, they've got every reason to believe they are going to be that case. It's going to be that way. They have proven it time and time again that they can play when they need to play.
Yep.
And I think that's I think what we're going to see is, if I'm predicting, which I'll be happy to do at the moment, is that I think the Dodgers will win this, but I don't think they'll win it in less than 6.
Yeah. The Blue Jays are going to get it. Assuming the Dodgers do win, the Blue Jays are very much going to put up a fight. It's not going
to be. I mean, look, I'm just saying that I feel that way, but I'm not disrespecting how talented the Blue Jays are.
Yeah, no, I think this Blue Jays team is better set up to give the Dodgers a fight than that Yankees team was last year.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They're, in terms of their lineup, they have much better lineup depth. I'm not sure if they have the same they don't have the same high level starting pitching that the Yankees have.
Yeah,
but I think I to be honest with you, so far their pitching has just been null this postseason. It's been good. It's been below the radar. They haven't given up a ton, but at the same time, it's definitely far from the storyline when you're scoring 6, 7, 8, 9 runs a game, somewhere in there. So they're going to be a tough out. This is. I think this is going to be a really good World Series, or at least I hope it is.
Yeah,
we don't have the Dodgers winning just because the Yankees can't make a common fielding play.
Yeah, that's where we had this little bit of mini debate yesterday. Of you got Bo Bichette, who's going to be on the roster, right? Bo Bichette at shortstop may be a liability at this point.
Yeah.
And you got George Springer. George hasn't consistently played in the outfield for a while, but he's going to have to play in the outfield. So, you're bringing bats, which you got to have.
Yep.
But how much is your defense going to suffer?
Yeah.
And I think it's a risk reward situation, and you never know.
It is, and it may be a situation like like I very well could see it happening to where they just boot Connor Falefa to the bench, move Jimenez to second, and let Bo Bichette resume his shortstop duties because that's where they started the year. That's the middle infield they started the year with, and it's a solid middle infield. And Bo Bichette's a really good defender when he's healthy. How healthy is he? That's really the biggest question in terms of their middle infield defense.
Yeah, my concern, my concern with that is Bo Bichette just started running 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think, and again, this is my personal opinion. I'd like your opinion on it as well. Your most gifted athlete has to be your shortstop because they're covering so much ground.
Yeah.
And so you've got a guy who's got to go to his left, got to go to his right. And if you're running straight in a line from home plate to first base or from the outfield, from one foul line to the other, yeah, that's going to give you, that your strength's going to be there from your legs. But, I'm more curious about how many ground balls he took.
Yeah. I think the question also goes when you're talking about the lineup and like what the Blue Jays can do with it. Where is the defense? Like, where is it most important? Because both of these ballparks that they're playing in have relatively deep alleys, like all things, especially in Toronto. Like they have some nice wide gaps in the outfield that you really have to be able to run and cover well. Is George Springer going to be able to do that? Like he's been a really good defender throughout his career. Is he still that now? I don't think he has the same. Well, let me rephrase it. I know he doesn't have the same speed they have. Like you can just tell that purely off the eye test. And another interesting thing that I was thinking about, what if they left Jimenez at short? What if they let Bo play second? Because I think second is obviously a significantly easier position to play than short.
Yeah.
Like, what if you just left it the way it is? That way, because if this is assuming they really feel like they need Bo Bichette's bat in the lineup. That what if you moved him to second base? It's a less physically. It's still demanding in terms of defense and the physical traits needed, but it's significantly less demanding than shortstop is.
Yeah, I mean, what you're going to end up with if you do that, which I'm not adverse to seeing, you're probably going to end up with your weakest defense on the right side of the field. Because Springer will play right. Vladdy's going to play first base. And you got Bo on second. Okay. Now, are they god awful? No, not at all.
Well, in that scenario where Bo plays second, Springer's still your DH.
Right.
That's true.
That's
really where you're like that.
That might be the thing I would do.
Yeah, because that's where you see like this. That's where this whole dilemma comes down to for Toronto. It's like, who do we DH and who are we willing to put in the field? That seems to be
They may have to rotate that, to be honest.
Yeah, and again, this is all based on the assumption that John Schneider really feels like he needs Bo Bichette's bat in this lineup. Because if he's happy with what he's seen thus far, and although I know that Bo wants to play, if you're like, what if we just wait? Like, what if we give you a couple more days to run, kind of get your legs back under you, take some more grounders? What if we waited until Toronto for you to get into this lineup?
Well, they open in Toronto, so.
Oh well, what if we waited until we get to LA?
Yeah.
What's in this lineup?
Why don't we wait till we get to Dunedin? Maybe that would be a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
No, it's they started in Toronto, and I think we'll see. I agree with you that Snyder's going to not do this if he doesn't think it's going to screw up. If he thinks it's going to screw up the whole system the way we've had it, so it's. Hang on one second. We just got this is something just came across. Two things. One, while you're waiting, folks, definite Jaden Daniels not playing. So that means Marcus Mariota is going to play. So there you go from that standpoint. I'm scrolling here. It has to do with where are they going to put Bo Bichette? There was a thing that just came out by Sportsnet's Ben Nicholson, who says that right now, the most likely option for Bichette in game one will be designated hitter.
They said so. Bo Bichette will be game one designated hitter.
That's what they said. And to your point earlier, they feel that they will put him in when he plays. This is how they put it. When he plays, he's going to play second base.
Yeah, I mean that makes the most sense. So it's something that was talked about even like in the off season and even potentially heading into this off season when they talk about Bo Bichette and his free agency. Like second base was an option that people have talked about in terms of playing in there.
Yeah, well, that looks to be where Mr. Snyder feels that if they're going to play him, that's where he's going to get played. So, at least for right now, and that doesn't sound like a bad idea, and we'll go from there. All right, bud. Let's wrap it up, and we've got going to have a full house of stuff tomorrow. We got big time college football this weekend. We got some key NFL games and the World Series all this weekend. So if you're not, and by the way, the last race in the Cup race before they go to Phoenix to decide who wins the NASCAR championship. So there's plenty of different sporting events on this weekend to watch and enjoy. Not to mention the NBA and their continued opening week. So tons of stuff to watch, and we'll have some fun tomorrow talking about it.
Yep.
All right, bud.
Absolutely.
Yes. So long, gang, and thanks very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Do one thing for us if you can. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, and drop us a comment. We'll answer it, okay? All right. For Matthew, I am Jim. We will see you on Friday. Hey, Matt, thanks very much.